Welcome to our third video in creating enemies. So what we've got here is we've got a dragon, and this time we're going to make the dragon just animate. So what we want it to do is we want it to do an idle animation, and then after 5 seconds it should then do a walking animation, and after that period of time, maybe 10 seconds, it goes back to an idle animation. So let's have a look at how we do this. What we want to do is we want to go to our animators down here, and we right click in here, create, and go down to Animator controller, and we're going to call this Dragon Animator controller. And I'm now going to go to the actual dragon, and I'm going to drag this one, Dragon Animator controller, into that spot right there. Let's have a look at there. We want to drag it in here, so drag this all the way up to here, and now we've got Dragon Animator controller. And so if I double click on this animator controller, there is nothing in it. So now if I go to my animations, I can go to the Dragon Nightmare, and we've got basic attack, and all the way over here is idle 1 and idle 2. I like idle 2, I've chosen that, I've had a look at that before, and we've got walk as well. So what I want to do is drag idle 2 into here. Now automatically a transition is made, and then we want to go up for walk and drag it up here, and we want to create a transition from here to here. So what we want to do is we want to create a transition from here to here. So we right click, make transition, drag it up to there. Right click here, make transition, drag it down to here. Click on parameters, not layers, parameters. Under parameters, we want to right click bool, and we want to say is walking. And so over here, with this still connected, so we've got this is walking and blue over here, we want to get down to here where it says conditions, list is, walking is true. We don't want an exit time, so we untick that. And we click here and we say conditions is walking, and click here is false, and we don't want an exit time. So now we want to create a program that will, when you do the idle, it will idle for 10 or 5 seconds and then transition to the walking one. So let's try that. We're going to create a state machine behavior. If I click on walk, I'm going to call that patrol. Now, if I select patrol, I'm going to add behavior, and this is going to be a patrolling code, and it's going to be a new script, and we're going to add. And now over here I can edit that. Here's our patrolling script, and it's just going to reload that, and we can edit that script. Now this script is quite interesting. You'll notice how we've got double forward slashes before it. Now of course double forward slashes make it into comments, and our code actually starts right at this point. So what I'm going to do, this first one which says on state enter is called when the transition starts and the machine starts to evaluate the state, I'm just going to delete that. I'm going to delete these double forward slashes here, and it actually makes it into a void. Delete these, and delete these, making sure that I keep these brackets here. I'm going to do exactly the same thing with here. So I select that whole thing, this is on state update, and I'm going to delete this double here, and this creates the on state update code. Delete that, delete that, delete that. So now we've got the next one. Same thing here, these three. Delete that, delete that, delete that, delete that, delete that. So we've got 3 voids: void on state enter, void on state update, and void on state exit. We can actually delete all the rest of this. Of course, I'm going to leave this little bracket here. And now I've got here 3 voids that I'm going to deal with. If I save that, save all, that will save that code. I'm also going to go over to my idle state over here, and I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to add a behavior, idle script, and create an add. And what this does is it will create another script over here called idle, which is over here, and I can edit that script here as well. And here is my idle script, and I'm going to do exactly the same thing as I did with the patrolling one. Now we've got that. Save all. You might want to just check that it's got all green sides down here. That means you haven't accidentally missed something. So what we really want to do is adjust our idle one first. So this is our idle one, this is our patrolling. So we go to our idle. And the first thing we want to do is we want to create a timer. And so we're going to call this float timer. We could have called it anything like we like, but it's logical to do that. This code is about setting up a timer variable. And now what we want to do is down in the on state enter, we want to actually set the timer is equal to 0. Okay, so that sets the timer to 0. And then every time it updates, we want to actually add a second. So we go timer is equal to, plus or equal to time dot, and you'll see it automatically comes up with delta time. So if I press tab and tab, it will actually fill it in for me. So timer is plus equals time dot delta time, and this will change that timer once per second. Now, if the timer, we need to put that in brackets, timer is greater than 10, then we're going to do something. And what are we going to do? Animator dot set bool. Let's have a look at that. Oh, we've got it all coming up there. Is walking in this case. True. Press tab to fill it out. So what this means is that if after 10 seconds it's idle, it's actually going to set the is walking animation to true. But we can actually make it 5 there. That'll mean it's going to do it for 5. And that's all we have to do there. So let's have a look at it. So just save all. So if I press play, you'll see that the dragon is sitting there, and now it starts to walk after 5 seconds. So all it's doing is walking in spot. So that's the idle script. Well, let's have a look at the patrolling script, because we want to do the exact opposite. So what we want to do is we want to grab that float timer. So we'll grab that whole line of code there. Patrolling, and we'll put it here. Float timer, right? And then again, we'll go timer is equal to 0. And then down here, we'll say that timer plus equals, which means it goes up by 1, time dot delta time, if timer is greater than 10 in this case, 10, we're going to make it change back to the is idle. So the way we do that is we go is walking is false. So animator dot set bool is walking, and that's going to be false. And so if we run it back here, we can run our code. There are compiler errors. What's my compiler error? It says syntax error is an expected bracket at line 17. Let's have a look at line 17. Line 17, timer. Oh, yeah, look at that. We've got to have a bracket around there. A bracket there, and a bracket there. And that should fix that little issue. So he's walking. After 10 seconds, he should go back to still. Yes, so he idles for 5 seconds, and then he starts walking after 5 seconds, holds that pose for 10 seconds, and then goes back to idle.